Welcome to my channel. It's dedicated to all things creepy, unusual, or unexplained. Stick around to the end and help me with what you would like to see next. Maybe it could be a story that you know of that is unusual for me to cover. Thanks, hope you enjoy. Within the United States, around 600,000 people are reported missing every year. That is more than the population of Kansas City, Missouri, or the combined populations of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Salt Lake City, Utah. It comes to a little over 1,600 people per day that go missing. I know that a lot of them are found. There are way too many that don't get found at all, and if they are found, they're found dead. For me, just the thought of suddenly disappearing without a trace is something that I personally find terrifying. And some of the creepiest cases of missing people happen deep within the silence of our own national parks. National parks are supposed to be beautiful, peaceful, safe. But hidden beneath the trees and cliffs are stories that are anything but. Every year, people vanish from U.S. national parks. Some are found dead in the most unthinkable places. Others are never found at all. Today, we're going to walk the trails they never return from. These are some of the creepiest real-life disappearances and deaths in America's national park history. Stacy Ann Harris, Yosemite National Park, 1981. In the summer of 1981, 14-year-old Stacy Ann Harris joined her father on a guided horseback trip through Yosemite National Park. Together they were part of a group touring the backcountry, eventually arriving at a remote Sunrise High Sierra camp, perched over 9,000 feet above sea level. After settling in, Stacy told her father and the others that she wanted to walk to a nearby lake and take some photographs. She seemed excited, energized. Her father stayed behind at the camp to rest. Stacy was accompanied partway down the trail by a 77-year-old man from the group, but he quickly became tired and sat to rest on a rock. Stacy continued on alone, just a few hundred feet ahead. She was never seen again. Her fathers and the others expected her back any minute, but as time passed and she didn't return, panic set in. Search efforts began almost immediately and grew rapidly. Helicopters, rangers on horseback, search dogs, and over 100 personnel scoured the area. All they ever found was a single camera lens cap resting near the trail. No signs of a struggle, no footprints, no clothing, no body, nothing. It was as if the forest had swallowed her whole, just a few feet from help, and never gave her back. To this day, the disappearance of Stacy Ann Harris remains one of Yosemite's most chilling and unexplained vanishings. Timothy Barnes, Yosemite National Park, 1988. 25-year-old Timothy Barnes set out for a solo backpacking trip in Yosemite National Park in the summer of 1988. He was a confident, experienced outdoorsman, not new to the challenges of mountain hiking. He had mapped his route, checked in with rangers, and packed accordingly. But when he didn't return, the search began. For over 2 weeks, park rangers, helicopters, and search dogs combed the trails. Nothing. No gear, no prints, no campsite. Then finally a grim discovery. Timothy's body deep at the bottom of a remote, rugged ravine far from his planned route. The spot was so steep and inaccessible, rescuers struggled to reach it. It wasn't on or near any official trail, not even a deer path. It was the kind of place you'd expect to find by falling or being taken there. And yet, his body showed no signs of major trauma, no broken bones, no defensive wounds. His pack was still intact. There were no clues to how he got there or why he strayed so far off the trail. No suicide note, no survival signs, just a still body in a hidden ravine with 100 unanswered questions. Some blamed disorientation, others whispered about off-trail phenomena Yosemite is known for. People vanishing, ending up where they shouldn't, or walking silently into danger with no trace of panic. To this day, no one knows what pulled Timothy Barnes so far off the map. Alan Jeffrey Taylor, Yosemite, 2005. In July 2005, 45-year-old Alan Jeffrey Taylor drove to Yosemite National Park and parked near the Hetchy Reserve, a lesser-known but remote part of the park. He signed into the trail register, noting a planned 2-day solo hike. No signs of distress, no indication of anything unusual. But Alan was never seen again. When he didn't return as expected, rangers went looking. His car was still there, undisturbed. His name was in the logbook, but there were no footprints leading out, no campsite, no gear left behind. Over the next several days, teams searched the trails by land and air. Not a single trace of Alan was ever found. No clothing, no backpack, no bones. Search dogs never picked up a scent. It's if he walked off into the woods and simply vanished. Hetchy is dense, rugged, and not as heavily trafficked as Yosemite Valley. Some locals refer to it as one of the park's loneliest corners. But even in the most remote wilderness, anything is usually left behind. With no evidence of an accident, no signs of foul play, and no body, his case remains one of the most complete disappearances in Yosemite's history. What happened to Alan Taylor remains a mystery, and some believe Yosemite wanted it that way. John Devine, Yosemite, 1997. John Devine wasn't your average 73-year-old. He was tough, an experienced outdoorsman who had spent much of his retirement exploring rugged terrain. In 1997, he entered Yosemite National Park alone, planning to hike the remote northeast area. His goal was to meet a friend at a designated trailhead a few days later, but John never showed up. What followed was one of the most intense search operations Yosemite had conducted that year. Dozens of personnel combed the wilderness on foot while helicopters scanned from above. Then something terribly went wrong. One of the search helicopters crashed into a granite ridge, killing a paramedic and severely injuring 2 crew members. Despite the loss, the search continued for days, but nothing was ever found. No trail, no clothing, no gear, no remains. The crash gave rise to whispers that the mountain didn't just claim John, it fought back against those who tried to find him. Some rangers reportedly described the area as bad country, an unforgiving pocket of Yosemite known for steep drops, sudden storms, and isolation. To this day, John Devine's body has never been recovered. Some hikers vanished, but with John, it felt like the forest closed the door behind him. These disappearances aren't just about people getting lost. They're about isolation, silence, and the eerie feeling that sometimes the forest doesn't want to give back. And the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. Charles McCullough, Crater Lake, Oregon. All of these stories are creepy, but this is by far the most strange and unsettling. In the fall of 1974, 19-year-old Charles McCullough left his home in Virginia to embark on a cross-country photography trip. He had a passion for capturing the wild, the kind of solitude only America's national parks could offer. He wrote letters to his father and friends along the way, always checking in, always optimistic. In January 1975, he told a friend in Eugene, Oregon, that he was headed to Crater Lake National Park to take winter landscape photos. He expected to be back in just 2 days. He never returned. At first, no one panicked. Charles was adventurous after all, but weeks turned into months and there was still no sign of him. Rangers assumed the worst. He must have fallen victim to winter exposure, but they found nothing until nearly a year and a half later. In October 1976, 2 hikers discovered something strange in a remote wilderness area near Bybee Creek on the far western side of the park, miles off trail and incredibly difficult to reach. There, partially hidden in thick brush, they found a pair of jeans standing upright, the legs stiff with cold and weather. Belt still fastened, socks still tucked neatly inside. There were no boots, no feet, no legs. The pants were upright as if someone had just stepped out of them or somehow melted away from the inside. Nearby lay his shirt and shredded jacket, but they were arranged oddly, not as if torn off in a panic or by an animal, but more as though they had simply fallen empty. No blood, no sign of struggle, no animal drag marks. Then about 70 feet away, searchers found something even more unsettling. A fragment of a human skull, later confirmed to be Charles. A few finger bones scattered loosely. Nothing else. There were no major bones, no full skeleton, no gear, no camera, no backpack. Even more bizarre, forensics analysis found no signs of animal predation or trauma. The clothing was not shredded by claws. There was no evidence that he had ever been attacked or dismembered. And this wasn't where Charles had planned to hike. The area was so inaccessible in winter, rangers couldn't understand how he had gotten there at all, much less in a deep snow and without snow gear. Temperatures during this hike would have plummeted well below freezing, but even accounting for hypothermia or disorientation, it doesn't explain how his body disintegrated, how his pants remained upright, or why only the smallest bones were recovered, scattered but clean. To this day, the death of Charles McClure is officially listed as undetermined. No clear cause, no known predator, no credible theory that explains the scene. Some believe it was a tragic accident. Others think he may have witnessed or stumbled upon something he shouldn't have. But those who have seen the photos of the jeans still upright, standing eerily in the moss, they say it looks like the forest itself consumed him. Matt Mullen, Olympic National Park, 2024. Our final story is also the most recent. It happened months ago, and unlike the others, this case is still unfolding. Matt Mullen was just 22 years old, a college student from Northern California who had a love for photography, hiking, and the outdoors. He wasn't reckless, he wasn't inexperienced, and he wasn't alone for the first time on a trail. On May 17, 2024, Matt headed into Olympic National Park in Washington State, a place known for its towering trees, fog-drenched cliffs, and some of the most remote wilderness in the U.S. He texted a friend that he was going to do a solo day hike along the Enchanted Valley Trail, a popular but rugged route that follows a river through a thick forest surrounded by waterfalls and steep terrain. Matt told his friend he'd be back by nightfall. He never came back. When Matt's car was still in the parking lot the next day, a search team was launched immediately. Conditions were good, clear skies, no storm, and yet no sign of him. They searched with drones, helicopters, dogs. They followed every switchback of the trail, combed the river banks, and checked every campsite and ranger cabin. Nothing. Not a footprint, not a backpack, not even a broken branches. And here's where things got strange. Matt had been texting with friends hours into the hike. He shared photos of the trail, told a friend the valley was spooky but beautiful, then silence. No more messages, no pinged location. It was as if he'd vanished in the middle of sending a text. 3 weeks later on, June 9th, hikers reported a terrible smell coming from a steep ravine about 2 miles off the main trail. Park rangers investigated and found human remains tangled in brush and down trees at the bottom of a slope. Dental records confirmed it was Matt Mullen, but the mystery wasn't over. He had no serious injuries, no sign of trauma, no broken bones. His phone was nearby, dead, but strangely intact. His boots were still on. His backpack had been partially opened, as if someone else had gone through it, or he had dropped it in a rush. Authorities still haven't released an official cause of death. So the question remains, why did he leave the trail? What made him go downhill through thick forest, off course and alone? Was it a misstep, a medical issue, or was someone or something else in the forest with him? To this day, the case remains open, and the Olympic National Park remains one of the wildest and most unsettling places in the country. Thanks for sticking around through these strange and chilling cases. I'm always on the lookout for new stories to dive into, and that's where you come in. If you've got a case, a mystery, a creepy story you think I should cover next, let me know in the comments or send me an email. Whether it's missing hikers, true crime, paranormal encounters, or just a creepy conspiracy theory, just something weird you can't explain, I want to hear about it. Just leave it in the comments or email me, and your suggestion may be just the next one I bring to life. Until then, stay curious and maybe think twice before wandering too far off the trail.